everyone, and welcome to another What's for Dinner on WW or Weight Watchers. In this video, I'm going to be showing you what we had for dinner this week on Weight Watchers, as well as giving you points and calories and macros for all of these meals. As always though, check down in the description box where you will find additional nutritional information, the full list of ingredients, instructions, and links to my WW recipe builder. And if you're a WW member, you can click on that link and it'll take you directly to my recipe in the recipe builder. Or if I have done a previous video on one of these, I'll have a link to that video where you can find all of that information as well. But let me jump in and show you what we had for dinner this week. First up is Tuna Noodle Casserole. This is one of my kind of classic comfort foods that I've been making for years. I love this one because it's easy, it is kiddo friendly, and because of that, one that I'm always going back to. This one starts with getting a pot of water boiling for your noodles, and then over here in a large frying pan, I've got that on medium-high heat, and I'm gonna add in some chopped red onions and sliced mushrooms. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of freshly cracked black pepper to it, and I'm gonna just cook the two of those in there until they are softened. At which point I'm gonna add in a little bit of dry wine. I just use some Pinot Grigio, and then I'm gonna stir that in and continue to cook that for another few minutes or until the majority of that has evaporated. And then I'm gonna add in some milk. I'm using almond milk, but you could use whatever you wanted. A little bit of low sodium soy sauce, and then I'm gonna stir that in and continue to stir until this comes to a simmer. And then once my water is boiling, I'm gonna add in my pasta. I am using spaghetti. You could use whatever type of pasta for this you want. I have a really hard time finding whole wheat pasta where I live, so spaghetti is one that I don't have a problem finding, and that's why I use it quite a bit. Egg noodles would be my preferred noodle to use for this, but like I said, I have a really hard time finding wheat noodles here for some reason. I'm doing 16 ounces of whole wheat spaghetti, and I'm gonna just cook that until it is al dente. And once this has come to a simmer, I'm gonna go ahead and add in a couple cans of tuna fish, and I'm just using the canned in water kind. And then I'm gonna add in a cup of frozen peas, and a half cup of low-fat Parmesan and half cup of low-fat Sharp. Then I'm gonna just mix everything together really well, basically until those cheeses have melted. And I do wanna note, whenever you're using low-fat cheeses and you're trying to mix them into something like this, it is a little difficult because they don't like to melt very well. So next up, I'm going to turn off my heat, add in some fat-free Greek yogurt, stir that in, and then once my pasta is cooked and drained, I'm gonna pour that in. And here I'm kind of just breaking it up with a spatula to make it a little easier to stir in. Next, I'm gonna take a 13 by 9 inch pan, spray it with a little nonstick cooking spray, and then pour in my pasta. I'm gonna then kind of smooth it out a little bit in there, top it with a little more low-fat Parmesan cheese and Sharp cheddar cheese. Then I'm gonna bake this at 350 for about 20-25 minutes or until that cheese is melted and it looks like this. And here is dinner. I've got 1/8 of that total casserole, which is 7 points. And then along with that, we are having some green beans. Those are just steamed fresh bag of green beans. So 0 points for those. And on the screen, I'm gonna be adding the calories and macros that I factored through MyFitnessPal. But as far as points go, this dinner is 7 points. Next up is Crockpot cream cheese chicken chili. I'm always saying how much I love my Crockpot, and I do. And I especially like to use it this time of year now that things have cooled down. And I love, love, love this chili. It's so easy to make, but it just has a ton of flavor. And it's actually pretty low in points too. So again, this is really easy, and it's just a toss everything in the crock pot. So you're gonna start with putting in your frozen chicken breasts. I usually use 2 large. These weren't the biggest, so I used 3 this time. I'm then gonna add in some chopped up red onion, a can of undrained corn, a can of undrained black beans. Now you could definitely drain and rinse these if you want. And then a can of Rotel, tablespoon of taco seasoning, and a packet of ranch mix. Then you're gonna just kind of give that a little bit of a stir. And then on top, you're gonna add a brick of a third less fat cream cheese. Then you're gonna put the lid on it, set it to low for about 5 to 6 hours, or until that chicken reaches an internal temp of 165. And you wanna stir it at least once during that cooking time. When there's about an hour left, cook time for my chili, I go ahead and get my squash ready. We're just gonna have some of this spaghetti squash as a side. So I wash it up real well, cut the ends off, and then cut it down the center. And then I take an ice cream scoop and I just kind of scoop out those seeds. That works really, really well to get the seeds out of there. Then I sprinkle them with a little bit of salt, a little bit of freshly cracked black pepper, spritz of olive oil, and then I set them on a cookie sheet that I've lined with parchment paper, so cleanup is easy. Just flip them over face down and bake them about 40-45 minutes at 400. Back over at my chili. It has been about 5 hours. This is done. And so now I'm gonna remove my chicken and just put it on a plate, and then I'm going to just shred it up using 2 forks. You could leave this in here and shred it in the pot, but I don't want to end up scratching up my crock pot. And I think the best way to shred this is to use metal, so I don't want to scratch my crock pot up. So I just do it like this, and it works really well. So then I just add that back in to the crock pot, give it a good stir. And as you can probably see, I have pretty big chunks of chicken. You can definitely shred yours a whole lot finer if you want, but I kind of like it chunky like that. So I just leave mine kind of in big pieces, but you're gonna mix that in really well. And then that is all there is to this one. Here's what that squash looks like when it is done. And here is dinner. I've got a serving of that chili, which is just about a cup, a little bit over probably. It makes about 8 heaping cups. And that is 4 points. I went ahead and just added a little bit of green onions to the top of it for a little extra flavor. And then there is that spaghetti squash. I went ahead and added a little, I can't believe it's not butter spray to that. And so that doesn't carry any points if you only use a few pumps of it. So I'm gonna say I'm still at 0 on that spaghetti squash, even with the olive oil spray that I put on there. That was probably no more than 1/4 teaspoon, probably less, which is 0 points on the olive oil. And so 0 for the squash, 4 for the chili is gonna make dinner for tonight 4 points. And finally, this week we did breakfast for dinner with these sheet pan banana chocolate chip pancakes. I love doing the different sheet pan meals. Pancakes are probably one of my favorite because it just makes making pancakes very, very simple. There's no flipping, any of that kind of stuff. You just pour all the batter on the pan and it all cooks together. And then you just slice it into your individual pieces. This starts with a large bowl, and to that I'm going to be adding in some protein pancake mix. I'm using this Krusteaz brand protein pancake mix. We ended up really liking this. I use this camping as well. Really good stuff. And then I'm going to add in a couple teaspoons of cinnamon, and I'm going to just stir the 2 of those together really well, or whisk them together until they are well combined. Then I'm gonna go ahead and just set that aside, get myself another bowl, and I'm gonna add in 3 medium ripe bananas, and I'm gonna just smash those up or mash them up really well with a fork. Then I'm gonna add in some non-fat plain Greek yogurt, a couple teaspoons vanilla, some Lakanto brown, almond milk, and then 4 eggs. And I'm gonna just whisk all of that together really well until it's fully incorporated. And then I'm gonna take my dry ingredients and I'm gonna pour my wet ingredients into those. And then I'm gonna just mix all of that together until it is well combined. Then I'm gonna take some Lily's chocolate chips. I weighed out 5 servings there, or 70 grams, and I'm gonna just fold those in. Then on a cookie sheet, 13 by 18 that I've lined with parchment paper, I'm gonna pour out my batter, spread it on there evenly, and then I'm gonna bake this at 425 for about 15 minutes, or until it's done like this. And then I'm gonna pull it off with the parchment paper, and I'm going to just take a pizza cutter and cut it up into 12 pieces. But you could cut this into whatever size you want. I just think 12 makes a good size. And that is what it's looking like. Nice and light and fluffy. These are really, really good. So for dinner tonight, I've got 2 pieces of that. Each piece is 3 points. If you have 2, it's 7. I went ahead and put some sugar-free syrup on there for an additional point, and then I sliced another banana up on top because we had quite a few ripe bananas I was trying to get used up. So the pancakes at 7 points, syrup at 1, banana 0 makes a dinner total for tonight 8 points. And that was everything we had for dinner this week on Weight Watchers. I hope you guys enjoyed, and maybe this gave you some ideas for yourself. Be sure to check down in the description box for all the info you're going to be looking for these meals. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.